over 30 years, Point of Grace has shared music, faith, and friendship with listeners across the country. Now Denise, Lee, and Shelley are inviting you into their circle. Welcome to Circle of Friends, the podcast.
It's Point of Grace.
Each week they're talking real life, current events, stories of true friendship, wisdom from God's Word, and all their favorite things. If you're looking for a little company, a few laughs, and a lot of Jesus to hold it together, Circle of Friends, the podcast is waiting for you. Subscribe now wherever you listen or watch podcasts, and circle up with Point of Grace.
One of these men is a highly respected New York attorney, Lucas A. Ferrara. The other is a self-proclaimed man of the people, known as Mert Roberts. Their aim is to discuss the hottest issues impacting our city, state, and nation. Fasten your seatbelts. Shake it off with Mert and Lucas. Live starts now on AM 970. The Answer.
What's that called, Alex?
Good evening. It's called Murder, Stupid by Kazoom.
Murder, stupid. No need to get personal, Alex, okay? While some think this next story is about murder, from a legal perspective, I'm not sure I agree. Now, the fatal shooting of Renee Nicole Good, also known as Renee Nicole Macklin Good, a 37-year-old mother of three. She was shot by an Immigration and Customs Enforcement agent on January 7th, has become one of the most polarizing incidents of President Trump's second term. It all happened while a massive federal immigration surge was underway in Minnesota, and the event, of course, has triggered nationwide protests, and there have been dueling narratives from federal and local officials, intense media scrutiny, and a flood of video evidence that continues to fuel the debate over self-defense, excessive force, and the implications of aggressive deportation operations, particularly in sanctuary-leaning cities. And we're going to be talking about all that in just a few minutes. We're going to talk about the eyewitness reports, some of the videos, including the 47-second clip from the shooting agent's body-worn camera. We're going to look at official statements, family tributes, and analysis from major news outlets. As of now, the FBI leads the investigation exclusively, having blocked Minnesota from key evidence, prompting calls for transparency. I'm sure everyone would like to hear your thoughts on this one, Mert. Was Renee Nicole good or bad?
Oh, that's a good one right there. That's the brilliant writing right there. But I'm going to say this. When you're protesting and you cross the lines, bad things can happen.
Amen.
Bad things can happen.
I don't believe we're agreeing on this, Mert.
Well, hold on. Let me speak. You just got your point across, but I'm gonna say
because the studio audience isn't surprised
because you might not agree with the rest, but maybe you will. But I'm gonna say this: when it comes to protesting, there is an inherent danger. When the tensions rise and the feelings rise and the emotions get amplified because the subject matter might be something as extreme as ripping people from their families and, shipping them back to just destroying people's lives in the minds of a lot of people.
Say it. Returning them to their places of origin, their homelands, yes. But here illegally.
But you got to understand that, there's economic factors that are bringing them here on both sides, because it's not just them coming over here and just stealing jobs. They're getting jobs. They're getting hired by Americans who are happy hire them. But that's not the point.
That's not the point.
But that's not the point. My point is this. When these people are protesting, both of those mentalities come into play. And these people get very emotional because they're saying you're preying on these innocent immigrants. And this is what Miss Good is probably in her heart. You're preying on these innocent immigrants who, they might be breaking the law, but you can't stay over here without making any money. You can't stay over here for free. No, you got to be over here working, supporting yourself, or you might as well just go home where you already had something set up. So a lot of Democrats feel sorry, sympathize, can understand why the immigrants are in this country, and they understand how they got here and how they stay here. It is no accident. So when she was killed, I'm taking all of that into account. I'm rolling this all up in one big ball, because you got to do that sometimes. You got to roll all the information in. You're lawyers, you understand that. Take all the facts and all the information, and I'll say that it was a horrendous thing that happened, because I seen the footage, I seen the video. You know, she was pulling off. She wasn't trying to run that guy over. She was trying to pull off.
That's where I think many people disagree, but go ahead.
She was pulling off, and if she was trying to run him over, she wasn't going. It would have been easy for him just to get out the way, because he was right by the car, not in front of it, to the side. So she would have had to do a 360 and come back and actually hit him. But she was trying to pull off because they were reaching into the car. It appears like it
shouldn't have done. See, when an officer, and you started off fine, but now you're going down a slippery slope. When it doesn't matter whether the officer could have moved aside, that is not the standard. The standard is whether or not he felt he was in imminent danger of harm. And by her moving the vehicle, okay, and I understand the facts are in dispute. Some people think he was in front, some people think he was on the side, and that's going to be up to a judge or a jury to decide at some point. But the fact that she moved her vehicle was stupid. And I think you started off beautifully by saying if an officer tells you, get out of the car, you get out of the car. When an officer says, put your hands behind your back, you put your hands behind your back. And then you fight about the legality later. Where people get harmed and maced and tasered is when they start getting all weird and violent. Right.
But you got to understand this. You got to understand this one point.
And by the way, Mert, just for your information, an SUV, a vehicle, which is what she had, can be considered a dangerous weapon.
Right.
And
you got to understand this, though.
Okay.
You got to understand this. There was reports that this man had been drugged by a car previously.
That's correct. And he suffered 33 stitches, so he's been traumatized. Is that your point? He's had an experience with people running him over.
And if that's the case, then I would have a lawsuit, because why are you placing people who are clearly unfit to do the job?
That's a big
why
jump.
Are you placing
That's
them on the job?
Jump.
And in fact, if that man was traumatized and he was in a mental framework that wasn't sustainable or healthy for the moment, then that puts not only himself in danger but everybody around him, because if he's so shaken up that a woman pulling off in a car, a white woman too, you got to remember this is a white woman pulling off, like that really a white woman.
That doesn't make her smart.
A white woman. Listen up, everybody.
Make her smart. Okay.
This is America. This is the home of white women who are innocent. They never do anything. And this man was terrified of a white woman. That's how I know he must not have been in his right state of mind. So he was in a bad situation. And I'm going to say ICE put him in a bad situation, because why are you putting people out there who have just been traumatized, drugged by a car, whatever the situation was? He clearly couldn't perform the job correctly because he wasn't in his right state of mind, and it led to somebody being shot and killed. You know, police officers, ICE officers, soldiers, we want them to be at their full capacity mentally when they're doing these type of jobs. So if that's not something that's able to be performed, if you're not able to guarantee that that's going to happen, then you leave yourself up open to scrutiny, and people scrutinizing this situation are justified, because there are people who said that lady who got shot on January 6th, they're saying that they were wrong for shooting that lady. What was her name? Babbitt or something like that? There
Ashley Babbitt, yes.
There are people who said that she shouldn't have been shot.
Look, and there are some people who think the guy's a hero because he was trying to stop someone from fleeing a scene. and who was resisting arrest and was not obeying lawful orders at the time. Get out of your vehicle, and you have her partner on the side. Drive, baby, drive. Like, what was this, a kamikaze mission? You have officers saying, get out of a car, and then because your partner says, drive, baby, drive, and you got a dog in the back seat, Mert. Okay? So she doesn't even give a crap about her dog. She's going to drive into an officer. By the way, he suffered from internal bleeding, according to the latest reports. So this is not fictional that he was on the side. You don't get internal bleeding if you're on the side. He was clearly in the direct motion of that vehicle. And did he act in self-defense? It would appear so. And we can talk about that a little more. But what I object to, Barrett, and I want your reaction to this. Initially, it came out that she was an innocent bystander. Do you remember that, Alex? There were reports like she was just some mother who was shopping and she was shot by an ICE agent. Now that shows you how bad the left and is with actual facts, and how they just give out misinformation to fit their particular narrative. She was far from an innocent bystander. It came out later that she's an avowed anti-ICE activist, and she was deliberately, Mert, trying to impede the agents doing their work. Okay, she took her vehicle.
Well,
and she
no, I
parked it
kind of believe that,
sideways.
Lucas. I do believe that too.
What do you believe?
That she was trying to impede the officer doing his job.
There was no question about it, because her SUV was blocking the street. That's not some lady. That was not some mother that was coming from a Walmart or Costco. Okay,
and this is why I blame. I blame the Trump administration for all the confusion, because this is what happens when you don't declare Ashley Babbitt a traitor to the country. You make her out to be some kind of victim. It's a lot of confusion out there to what is acceptable, because this lady was breaking into the Capitol to do harm to those who were in power who she did not agree with, to overturn the election in the eyes of many. So a similar situation is happening here, where somebody was protesting something that they feel is just as strong as Ashley Babbitt felt. And they were doing everything in their power to make a stand, to let their voices be heard, be felt, however you want to put it. And they lost their lives by a bullet in the same way. Doing, quite honestly, the same type of thing, just a different flavor, but the same type of thing. Disobeying the law.
Not just disobeying the law, but they had to put an officer or an agent in fear of harm, because an officer is not permitted to shoot you unless there's a reasonable expectation of harm. Mert, they can't shoot you because they don't like you. They got to shoot you because they feel threatened that they're going to get killed.
The whole ICE movement has been promoted by the Trump administration. So in the Trump administration, we have to understand this. If there are those who feel like Ashley Babbitt was incorrectly killed because of what she was doing, because she was just some woman just hopping through the window, I don't know how they did these mental gymnastics to make her seem like she was a victim, but they've done it. So
do it by distorting the facts.
That's what I'm saying.
They're trying to make good a hero too. But
that's my point. If you're going to have that mentality, then you need to be smart enough in this situation, because ICE is a wing. This version of ICE is a wing, arm of the Trump administration. So they should be well versed in what's possible, because they've already seen it. So they should have already been prepared for somebody who was going to be, disobeying orders. They should have been already prepared for it. And you should not have somebody out there with an itchy trigger finger and try to use the excuse of they've already suffered from some kind of trauma. He shouldn't have been on the job if that's the case. He shouldn't have been on the job if that's the case.
No. President Trump posted on Truth Social shortly after the incident that Good was, quote, a professional agitator, end quote, who, quote, violently, willfully, and viciously ran over the ICE officer who seems to have shot her in self-defense. That's Trump. He added, "It is hard to believe he is alive, but he's now recovering in the hospital." And then he blamed, quote, "a radical left movement of violence and hate." That may be true, Mert. There is a radical left movement. Instead of peaceful protest, they're getting violent. They're getting confrontational. And you see the videos. They're running into the streets. They're blocking traffic. They're attacking vehicles. They're doing property damage. That is not lawful protest, Mert. It's not justifiable. And if you attack an officer, whether it's in person or in a vehicle, the consequences, unfortunately, might be your death.
Listen,
that's the ugly reality. Okay.
You know what? I sometimes feel sorry for Trump because, Obama was such a great president that.
Oh, please.
All Trump can do at this point is play into these conspiracy theories. Oh, there's a radical left or whatever, the Democrat organization out there trying to take down America. Their only complaint is ICE. That's all they're worried about. They're not attacking anything else but ICE. Or they're not protesting anything else but ICE. I think if Trump actually had something to focus on, he wouldn't be wrapped up in all this nonsense, trying to actually justify what this cop did and trying to make him to be some sympathetic figure when he just killed a white woman. Can you believe that?
It's not about sympathy. He was acting in self-defense. From a legal perspective, was his use of his gun justified, Mert? That's what we're examining. Did she deserve to get shot? No one deserves to get shot. Maybe that phrasing is not the right thing.
No,
but
it was not justified.
Did the officer act legally? And if you look at some of this legal standards that I did some research for the show, a vehicle can be a deadly weapon. Officers can use deadly force if they reasonably believe they are in imminent danger of being hit, as I said before, and the threat must be ongoing at the moment the officer fires. In other words, they're not required to wait to see
the Trump administration has set the president by saying that Ashley Babbitt was a hero.
We're talking about good now. You keep going to Babbitt, but you seem to want to avoid good, which is great. Answer about good. You seem to think that the use of force wasn't justifiable. Babbitt is a whole different
courtroom. This isn't the courtroom. You don't get to restrict my Babbitt. You don't get to restrict my argument. My argument incorporates her. So you don't get to tell me I can't use that.
So what are the facts? Why was she shot, Mert? You got to come with facts and figures. You just
the facts are that the Trump administration says she was a hero. And we know she wasn't a hero because she was breaking into the Capitol. So this woman is in the same situation, violating orders, and she was shot. So according to the Trump administration, she shouldn't have been shot because Ashley Babbitt sets the precedent. If you are trying to break into a Capitol building, disobeying orders, you should not be shot. So this is not that serious. This is not as serious as a situation. So these ICE agents shouldn't have done it because the president has been set. When you disobey orders, you do not need to be shot. You can become a hero. So then Miss Good should be a hero at this point because Ashley Babbitt is. Miss Good should be a hero too.
Well, the question of whether the shooting of Renee Good was legally justifiable will hinge on a single fact, Mert, the agent's position at the moment he fired. And if the video shows that he was directly in front of the vehicle as she began accelerating, the officer's claim of fear for his life becomes legally credible, and in that scenario, the use of deadly force may be justified.
Well, before you legally, I'm going to say he wasn't. Legally, I'm going to say he wasn't in his right frame of mind, so I'm going to use that argument. He wasn't fit for the job.
Oh, so now you're a psychologist. Maybe we should ask Dr. Vermani about that. How about if we tell our viewers, welcome to Shake It Off with Merton Lucas Live. We're truly honored to have you along with us for the ride. Episode 80 this is. Come on, let me hear an amen. That's not an amen. There you go. This is Lucas Ferrara, and we're ever mindful without you we're nothing. You heard from my great co-host, the man of the people, the Mertinator, Mert Roberts. Working the board is the great Alex Garrett, who has a podcast of his own, One Leg Up with Alex Garrett, and his beautiful fiancée, Princess Gabby Fasani, couldn't make it into the studio tonight because of the snow, but we send out our love. We have some special guests for you today. Dr. Monica Vermani, a clinical psychologist, is back, and we'll be talking to her about a deeper wellness, her book, and about other things as well. So don't you dare drift, don't you dare wander, don't even blink. Shake it off with Mert, Alex, Dr. Monica Vermani, and all of us here at AM 970 right after these messages. If you're stressed now, think how stressed you'll be if you miss the next segment. The Tunnel to Towers Foundation supports America's greatest heroes. U.S. service members and first responders who die or who are catastrophically injured in the line of duty, as well as homeless veterans. The Foundation's Gold Star, Fallen First Responder, Smart Home, and Homeless Veteran programs honor the sacrifices made for us by the men and women who risked their lives and bodies for our country and our communities. The Foundation's Never Forget programs engage thousands of people in 9/11 remembrances across America through hundreds of runs, walks, climbs, and golf outings every year. The Tunnel to Towers 9/11 Institute helps teachers educate children in kindergarten through 12th grade about America's darkest day. Never forget 9/11 or the sacrifices of our country's greatest heroes on that day and thereafter. Donate $11 a month and consider a land or car donation. Go to t2t.org. That's T2T.org.
Over the last 30 years, Newman Ferrara, a New York City law firm, has evolved into a national practice focused on real estate, commercial, litigation, civil rights, class actions, and other complex litigation, representing many of the city's largest property owners, managing agents, and thousands of tenants. Newman Ferrara handles some of the nation's most significant class actions and civil rights matters. Newman Ferrara at 1250 Broadway in New York City. Go online to newmanferrara.com. That's newmanferrara.com. Listen to the firm's name partner, Lucas Ferrara, every Saturday at 10 a.m. on Dottie Herman's longest-running real estate radio program, Eye on Real Estate on AM 970. A real estate lawyer for 35 years, Lucas is a professor at New York Law School and is also a published author with books on real estate and New York's landlord-tenant law. Tune in Saturdays at 10 a.m. to hear Lucas's unique perspective and advice on Eye on Real Estate.
Hey, Scott Jennings here. I want to personally invite you to join me, along with my friend Mike Gallagher, for a powerful week on the Gulf of America cruise, November 14th through November 21st, 2026. That's this year. We'll cruise through crystal blue waters, visit incredible ports like Half Moon Cay and Cozumel, and enjoy the first-class hospitality of a luxury cruise ship. All week long, you'll have time with us. You'll do meet and greets, photo opportunities, Q&A sessions, and the chance to hear behind-the-scenes stories that you can't or won't hear on the air. You'll also be immersed in inspiring keynote speeches and in-depth sessions as we enjoy real connection designed to strengthen your resolve as we mark the 250th anniversary of our great nation. Don't miss this. Sign up today. Look forward to cruising the Caribbean with like-minded people who care deeply about our country. Reserve your cabin today. Text CRUISE to 94878, 94878, or visit scottjenningsshow.com and click the cruise banner to sign up today.
MyPillow and MyPillow employees want to thank you for your great support this year. They want to make 2026 the best year ever. So to thank you, they are giving you free shipping on your entire order and wholesale pricing. For example, the classic MyPillows, regularly $49.98, now only $17.98. Turn any mattress into the best mattress ever with the made in the USA MyPillow My Mattress Topper and save up to $100. Get a set of MyPillow Giza Dream Sheets for as low as $29.98 and the 6-pack back towel set for only $39.98. To get the best specials ever, go to MyPillow.com and use the promo code JOEP or call 800-651-0798. These offers won't last long, so call 800-651-0798 or go to MyPillow.com and use the promo code JOEP. To get the best specials ever, go to MyPillow.com and use the promo code JOEP or call 800-651-0798. Order now and your entire order ships absolutely free.
Welcome back to Shake It Off with Mert and Lucas, live on AM 970, The Answer.
That's a nice beat, Alex. What is that one called?
I really am feeling the zen with this one. It's called Finding Calmness by Pump Up the Mind.
Finding Calmness. Our next guest can certainly help with that. Dr. Monica Vermani is one of Canada's highest-rated clinical psychologists. She's a respected speaker, teacher, and author whose work centers on trauma, anxiety, addiction, and emotional wellness. In her private practice, she uses a multidisciplinary, evidence-based approach to help young people and adults navigate trauma, mood disorders, and the everyday barriers that keep people from living authentically. She's also the creator of the Start Living corporate wellness programs designed to strengthen mental health in the workplace and support individuals striving for healthier, more resilient lives. Her latest book, A Deeper Wellness, along with its companion online program, distills 25 years of clinical experience into practical tools that guide readers toward meaningful, lasting well-being. Welcome back to the program, Dr. Vermani.
Happy New Year. Welcome back. Thank you very much for having me.
Oh, it's always a pleasure, and Happy New Year to you, too. I don't know, Doc, before we talk about your book, I'm feeling really stressed doing this show with Mert every week. This is our 80th show. Stresses me out. Alex, doesn't he stress you out, too? Doesn't Mert, don't you feel like
you know what? He's reduced my stress level over the week. Let me put it that way.
So,
you hear that?
Doc.
No, Lucas, we got to work on your shame, blame, and guilt. You got to work on the shame, blame, and guilt. And you got to take ownership of your own happiness.
Oh, that's my specialty. That's my specialty, Dr.
You're the only one who's going to bring your own peace. You're going to bring your own happiness. It's not about Mert changing to bring you happiness. That was something I said on Global News this morning. You know, our happiness doesn't come from putting conditions on it and postponing it. If you postpone happiness, it never happens. And many of us do that. We say things like, I'm single and I'm longing to find a partner. And then you're putting conditions on finding that partner to be happy. You're postponing happiness. Postpone happiness for that job, for Mert to change, for like money to come in, for, you know, the weekend to show up. We got to stop postponing happiness if we want to be happy and peaceful.
So what do we do, Doc? Do I fire Mert? Is that what you're saying? I got to get rid of him to be happy?
You would like that.
Is that going to bring
like
you
What's the
Are you
answer?
going to miss him?
What's
He
the diagnosis?
would like that. I know he would like that.
No,
I think deep down inside, sometimes there's always that love-hate relationship with sometimes our habits, like whether it's food, alcohol, or Mert. You love him, you also struggle with him, no?
Well, there's a point there. That's true. That's very true. But your specialty is dealing with stress and anxiety and trauma. How do you know that someone truly is suffering? I mean, I was joking, of course, from stress or post-traumatic stress disorder. How do we know that a loved one is truly suffering as opposed to dealing with day-to-day issues that we were just talking about? How do we tell the difference? You know what I mean, Doc?
Great question. You know, all of us are perfect and a work in progress. We all have symptoms. Those symptoms show up as physical, like physiological symptoms in your body. They show up in your thoughts, negative thoughts that are racing around in your head, and they show up as negative habits and behaviors in your lifestyle. So we all have symptoms. That's just a normal fact. The time to know that you need help and you got to get treatment is when your symptoms are holding you back from living life with a good quality of life. When your symptoms are holding you back from working successfully, having a good social life, being, authentic with your partner, having good self-care habits. When your symptoms hold you back from living a good quality of life, it's time to get some help. See it like a pot, a vessel. Many times today's world is about physical fitness and working on healthy habits. You can be eating well, sleeping well, doing meditation every day and trying to be a healthy person. But if your vessel, yourself, has emotional debris, things from the past still bothering you, traumas that keep popping up and triggering you, if you have holes in your vessel, all the good efforts you put in today with healthy habits kind of still get emotionally drained out of you, and you don't find the full benefits. You want to be healthier physically, then you got to also be mentally fit. You got to work on emotional debris, things from the past that pop up, things that bother you, this blame, shame, and guilt we do of not taking accountability to create our own peace and joy. Does that help? So I always tell people, if I had a magic wand, I can take away your problems. Where do you want life to go? My goal as a psychologist is to take you from where you are to where you want to be. Your gap are your symptoms.
Doc, I'd ask you this question. I'd like to ask this question.
Well said, Doc.
Do you think that this type of stuff is easy for one to diagnose in themselves? Because, when you hear it from someone else, you might take a step back and say, hey, is that happening to me? But how are people supposed to see this stuff happening to them if they don't realize they developed this as a normal way of functioning?
So, yeah, we're in fight, flight, or freeze. We all have survival mechanisms that make us go through life. The key is this: if you're not happy with your life and you're not fulfilled and you're not feeling authentic in your day-to-day life where you wake up looking forward to the day, you're surviving versus thriving, then I'm going to say challenge yourself. The first step to treatment is awareness. And if you're limited in your knowledge set to be aware, that's when you go outside of yourself. We're so blessed to have a world of education, including this podcast right now, that we can inform ourselves to be a higher, better version of us. Go beyond yourself when you're not happy to figure out what's the problem. The first step to treatment is always awareness. When you're aware of your symptoms, you'll be aware of the treatment to help it.
But Doc, you have more experience at this than I do. But from my limited, interaction with people and my limited knowledge of psychology, a lot of people are not self-aware. So how do they get to where they're supposed to be? A lot of people
so when
live
you say
in
people
denial.
are not self-aware,
yeah, they live in denial.
We don't give. Yeah, but deep down inside, Lucas, we don't give people credit. We are aware when we're doing unhealthy habits. We are aware when something has become from recreational use to more addiction now. We are aware when we're hurting ourselves and others through shame, blame, and guilt. What we need to start being is authentic and honest with ourselves. You're here to be a healthier version of you so that you live a better life. It's not about others. And so when you say the awareness piece, when you're in ignorance, yeah, you do the best you can with what you know. But at some point, I do truly believe that symptoms get louder and louder, worse and worse, until you kind of crack and get to this point where you don't have an option but to go beyond yourself and get help, whether it's a family doctor you go to or a therapist or seeking, spiritual guidance. At some point, your suffering is a catalyst for change. Your suffering gets so bad that it makes you resilient. You also learn to go beyond yourself, and that resilience comes from going beyond my knowledge set, because we do the best we can with what we know. And if I don't know enough, I can learn from somebody else who can teach me how to be better. And resilience is about skills and developing skills and learning to realize I have a whole world outside of me I can rely on. When I know there's a problem, you owe it to yourself to live a higher, better version of your life, to go out there and figure it out.
Amen.
We're all human people that figure it out, just like kids do.
Amen. But you've hit on something, because a lot of the guests we have on the show, Doc, talk about crashing, having to crash before they redeem themselves. Is that a rite of passage? Is that a necessary evil? Or am I simplifying it?
I love that. You know what? It's not a need of passage, and we don't need to crash. There's something called preventative care, and I have people who show up in my office when there's doom and gloom and suffering, and that suffering is a catalyst for change, where they show up at my door and saying, I need help. And then there's people who are like, I have these benefits sitting around. I want to learn how to be a better version of me. Let me show up and do some therapy and fine-tune and set some goals. So there's people who do work on themselves because maybe their parents role modeled healthy habits, and they're just going to work on themselves to be a better version of them. You know, comparison in life is about learning how to be a better version of you. When I judge somebody as a little bit lesser than me, it means I grew from that place. When I judge somebody better than me, it means I can learn those skills and acquire it and become them. Learning to be a better version of you is an innate ability. As children, we're growing always to learn, from crawling to walking. We're evolving. All of us are. We all want to evolve to be better, but sometimes our bad habits, bad role modeling, traumatic experiences, traumas, or just mood anxiety and just feeling lost and stuck in unhealthy habits keep you stuck. Fight, flight, or freeze. Those three things sometimes get us to pause and get stuck. And we feel like we're in quicksand.
But we're stuck right now, Doc, because we have to go to a commercial. But when we come back, Dr. Vermani will be finishing her thoughts and will be joining us after these quick commercial messages. Her book, A Deeper Wellness, is available now at Amazon and other booksellers. For more information about Dr. Vermani and her work, visit her website, drmonicavermani.com or deeperwellness.com. We'll also post links on our website. Mert, Alex, Gabby, Dr. Vermani, and I hope you'll stay tuned. Stay with us. Dr. Vermani, a top clinical psychologist, will return to explain why your path to deeper wellness might be simpler than you think.
Ferrara, a New York City law firm, has evolved into a national practice focused on real estate, commercial, litigation, civil rights, class actions, and other complex litigation, representing many of the city's largest property owners, managing agents, and thousands of tenants. Newman Ferrara handles some of the nation's most significant class actions and civil rights matters. Newman Ferrara at 1250 Broadway in New York City. Go online to newmanferrara.com. That's newmanferrara.com. Listen to the firm's name partner, Lucas Ferrara, every Saturday at 10 a.m. on Dottie Herman's longest-running real estate radio program, Eye on Real Estate, on AM 970. A real estate lawyer for 35 years, Lucas is a professor at New York Law School and is also a published author with books on real estate and New York's landlord-tenant law. Tune in Saturdays at 10 a.m. to hear Lucas's unique perspective and advice on Eye on Real Estate.
Fueled by passion.
Handoff, Starling curls on the middle of the lane, puts it in and one. Pitch it into Freeman, his shot front rim around the net.
We are upstate New York's team.
Pitch ahead, Starling, 3-ball, yes, and one. Freeman on the breakout, splits two defenders, scores and one. Turnaround 10-footer, good. With a shot clock down at 5. JJ does his thing.
Listen all season long on your home for Syracuse basketball.
At AM 970, The Answer.
Sniffles and sneezes got you down? GoodRx is here to help with big savings on commonly prescribed cold and flu meds. GoodRx is free and easy to use. GoodRx is accepted at all major pharmacies like CVS, Walmart, and Walgreens. Just search your prescription, find a coupon, then show your pharmacist at the drop-off counter. GoodRx is not insurance, but it works whether you have insurance or not. If you do, GoodRx may beat your copay price. Download the free app or visit GoodRx.com to save today.
Here's a harsh fact. 40% of adults, both men and women, suffer from varicose or spider veins. And this is not just a cosmetic problem. If left untreated, varicose veins can lead to severe swelling, cramping, heavy bleeding, the inability to stand or walk, neuropathy, permanent paralysis, and worst case, blood clots, which can be life-threatening. But here's the good news. USA Vein Clinics offer plans that treat and cure the condition, not just cover up the problem. And the procedure is fast and simple. Grab your phone, take down this number, and call 800-452-1593. That's 800-452-1593. When you call, you'll get free information on how you can live your life to the fullest again. Walk, exercise, sleep well. Your varicose vein problems will not go away on their own. Call USA Vein Clinics today for free information on fast and easy solutions covered by most insurance, including Medicare. Call 800-452-1593. That's 800-452-1593. Call 800-452-1593 today.
The fight against sexual exploitation begins at home. Sexual exploitation is no longer a distant issue. It's happening here in our communities, schools, and even our homes. Every day, millions of Americans are targeted and trapped through manipulation, coercion, and deception. Sexploited in America, The Invisible War is a powerful docuseries exposing the hidden systems and cultural blind spots that allow exploitation to thrive, and gives a voice to the survivors and families forever changed by it. Raw, unfiltered, deeply human, these stories reveal both the devastating realities of exploitation and the extraordinary courage of those who refuse to be silenced. Sexploited in America, the docuseries is presented by AGA Media and available to everyone now at salemnow.com.
Welcome back to Shake It Off with Mert and Lucas, live on AM 970, The Answer.
Welcome back. We've been speaking with Dr. Monica Vermani. She is one of Canada's highest-rated clinical psychologists, and as I said before, a respected speaker, teacher, and author whose work centers on trauma, anxiety, addiction, and emotional wellness. Her book, A Deeper Wellness, is available now at Amazon and other major booksellers. And for more information about Dr. Vermani and her work, visit her websites, drmonicavermani.com or adeeperwellness.com. We'll also post links to the doctor and her book on our website, shakeitofflive.com. Now, Doc, before the commercial, I interrupted you. You were talking about people that were in a rut. Did you want to finish your point?
Well, I think people in a rut, we're all in a rut at some point or another, and on a day-to-day basis, we have so many aspects of our life. I think we just owe it to ourselves to factor yourself into the equation of your life. And as much as you get busy with that hustle and bustle and hamster on the wheel lifestyle, learn to connect with yourself. When you talk about awareness comes from pausing and reflecting. If you're always go, 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 you just get more and more symptoms. And those symptoms sometimes have a purpose. All human behavior has a purpose. All human symptoms have a purpose. Purpose of a symptom is to pause and reflect you, make you stop so you can change.
Well, Doc,
and
hold
sometimes
on,
those symptoms are so loud you have to do it.
Well, Doc, let me ask you this, Doc, real quick. The hustle and bustle is oftentimes needed for people to achieve, at least in their mind. So if we take away that mentality of go, 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 a lot of people feel like they'll fall off. And for a lot of people, I believe that's true. Would you disagree with that? Like, how do you put this in people's mind? Go ahead, sorry.
Two hustle and bustles. All three of us work a lot. I'm pretty damn sure about that. And so I can tell you this. There's one sort of working a lot where you feel like you're doing all the work and there's this sense of self-sacrifice. And then there's one where you're working with an ease. And that working with the ease is don't give from an empty well, give from your overflow. If I'm in that hustle and bustle and I'm not eating well, I'm not sleeping well, I'm not exercising, breathing, I'm not bringing in playful moments in my day so that my days feel joyful and I'm looking forward to them, then guess what? That hustle feels heavy.
Would you ever tell somebody...
if you want the hustle to feel lighter, you got to add in moments of reflection, pause, health, well-being, and taking care of yourself.
So would you ever
when you're in pain, you spill over onto others. When you're in health, there's a ripple effect.
Would you ever tell somebody to give up because they're extending themselves too much? If they had a dream, would you say maybe you should give up on your dream? Would you ever give that type of advice to someone?
You know, we all have to be honest with ourselves. There's a means to a goal, and learning to sacrifice and work a little harder to achieve a goal. But many of us, once we achieve that goal, we just push the timeline of sacrifice a little further. So you think you're going to finish school, and I finish exams, and I'll rest and take care of myself, and then you got a job, and now you push that timeline to say, well, when I get my first raise, I'll do it. So we have a tendency to play games with ourselves that are detrimental, that increase stress, burnout, and poor self-care habits. And so we have to start being honest with ourselves. If you're going to sacrifice yourself for a week to meet a deadline, that's one thing. But then after that deadline's met, be honest with yourself and love yourself.
No. I'm talking about
bring in
for
the
a
healthy
dream.
habits.
I'm talking about for someone's dreams. I'm not talking about like for a deadline. I'm talking about like for someone's dreams. Like if I want to be,
Dreams are goals, no? So dreams are the same thing. Dreams to me are like a goal.
I agree.
It's like a deadline.
I agree.
I set a dream to accomplish writing my book. Then the moment I write it, I got to take care of myself, even if I burnt the midnight candle on both ends. At some point, your dreams are goals, right?
You just said something very interesting there, though. I don't know if a lot of people would agree with that, but you said something very interesting. You said your dreams are like goals where you set a deadline. I don't think a lot of people put a deadline on their dreams. I think a lot of people have open-ended dreams, and they're willing to die chasing their dreams. So I think you might have a different approach. Maybe that's the approach you're trying to teach.
Because I'm a psychologist. And as a psychologist, I bring in actionable steps with reasonable goals and timelines. Because if you're on that hamster on the wheel and say, hey, Monica, Dr. Vermani, I'm going to burn the candle on both ends until I reach this goal, I'm going to be like, no, let's set reasonable goals. Let's do in 3 months. If I reach my goal, then I'm going to take a pause, rest in between, and then get back on track. Sometimes at some point or another, you have to be honest with yourself. I had somebody this morning, a businessman, say, if by 2026, January 1st, I don't reach A, B, and C financial goals, I'm going to give up my office and just work from home. And guess what he did December 31st? Put in his notice, and he gave up his office January 1st and came in today saying, I feel lighter. We stuck to that goal. And he said, honestly, Monica, I thought in my head, maybe I'm doing a mistake. I should give it a few more months. And then I had your voice in my head. You're going to keep putting that carrot on that string, and you're going to keep pushing it further and further. Hold yourself to a goal. And he goes, I'm glad I did. Many times I think we have to be good bosses and accountable to ourselves to do what we say to ourselves.
I think what...
At some point, you got to do actionable steps that are reasonable.
So, for example, Mert can never be that professional basketball player unless he sets those goals. I think that's what he's talking about. People have dreams. They're going to be the next Tom Cruise. They're going to be the next Robert Redford, or whatever the case may be.
I like that.
Or the next Beyonce. What do you
those
do
dreams,
to people? Yeah, what do you do with those?
And those dreams are like cognitive distortions in psychology, we call it. Distorted ways of seeing reality. Everything is possible in life. I can get hit by lightning right now. That's possible. What is the probability of this working out for me? So I can be the next pro basketball player. But what is the probability? I don't play basketball. Well, the probability just went lower, right? So at some point, all of us need to look at our dreams and evaluate. Everything is possible. I could do it. I could put a lot of work and get there. But is it highly likely for me to achieve this goal?
Now,
that's a part of our own journey.
Is society set up for that to be the prevalent mentality? Because society is all about marketing, and you put this on, you take this pill, you do this, you'll be better than you were yesterday. So if society is set up for us to always think, hey, if I just get this product, or if I do this, or if I invest, for example, if I buy your book, I'll be a better person. So if society is set up for, if you do something, you can improve those odds, how do you really convince someone, hey, they know they can't be a basketball player, but if I want to be an actress or an actor...
I convince them with one line. Being well-adjusted to a sick society is unhealthy, and we have a sick society. They're trying to make a buck off you. You need to learn how to be objective and set your own boundaries and goals, whether that's people-pleasing or buying into the media and the social pressures to be something. You are perfect as you are. You don't need something to be better.
So
you can yearn to have certain things to facilitate some sort of betterment, but always evaluate, is this a need or is this a want? And as a want, do you really need it? Like, how much does it really enhance your quality of life? I think we have to learn to be our own judges.
Well, you know what? Your own judge. So if somebody is like not attractive, right? Do you tell them, find somebody who finds you attractive, or you say, hey, come on, you're not, just relax. You're not going to be a supermodel. What is your approach to like that? What was your response to that be? Like, I think I look as
when
good
you
as
say
Beyonce.
Attractive.
Yeah, I
You
look
know,
like Beyonce.
Beauty's in the,
Like
you and I both know, I'm going to throw this corny line of beauty's in the eye of the beholder.
Oh, here
Deep
we
down
go.
inside, I think your inner world creates your outer world. If you feel beautiful, there will be some level of you walking around and feeling proud of yourself. On a standard of society beauty, again, we're not all meant to be supermodels, and maybe there's a level of us being humble enough to love ourselves as we are, then constantly needing to fix it.
Doc, that's where I'm with you on that. That's where I want to be. That's where I like.
You want to know the 2 reasons why people suffer in life? 2 reasons people suffer in life. We don't accept people as they are, including ourselves, and we don't accept situations as they are. Acceptance is a state of mind.
So are you talking about accept the reality or accept our fate or accept our existence? What exactly are you
Accept the fact that you work with Mert and you got to like it. Accept the fact that you've chosen this. Like that, we're playing accepting. I'm teasing. Right?
Oh, the audience doesn't agree. The audience doesn't agree, Doc. I'm sorry. It's the one thing that don't. No. I understand what you're saying. And actually, I have. This is our 80th show, by the way. It's our 80th episode. And over the course of these shows, I've come to understand him and I've come to respect him. But that took 80 shows, Doc. It's not something.
So
that
you just started this today.
But by the way,
no, I was being melodramatic.
Lucas,
but here's the point.
you chose each and every show to show up. That was a choice on your point. Stop being a victim. That's the other thing that's wrong with our society.
Right.
We keep doing this victimhood. We're blame, shame, guilting everybody else for our own choices. Say it with me, Lucas. I choose to work with Mert.
Say it.
Never.
Say it.
Never. More.
You need to say it. Repeat the words.
But we do need to be honest. I choose to overwork. I choose to not set boundaries. I choose not to see the reality. I choose not to hold myself accountable for my bad habits. I choose to be angry. I choose to be a people pleaser. Sometimes we got to look at the habits that we feel so vulnerable to and weak with, that there are choices after all still. Even if it brings you guilt, shame, blame, and you feel like it's really hard to change, it's still a choice.
Hey, Doc, we only have a few minutes left. Now, you often say that good mental health doesn't just happen. So what do people misunderstand about the work that's required?
Well, everything is like a muscle you exercise, right? Like some of our unhealthy habits are a muscle that we just exercise, and so that muscle got big. And life is about replacing one thought with the other, replacing the negative thoughts with the positive thoughts. So mental health is not easy, just like physical health isn't easy. It takes work. Being healthy is a full-time job. And so when we sometimes don't choose joy, happiness, presence, gratitude, eating well, sleeping well, saying no, people-pleasing, and stopping those by adding in boundaries or breathing, when we're not doing healthy things for self-care, it's a choice. And you need to start choosing healthy, and that is work. So whoever said being healthy is not work, I haven't read that anywhere. Being healthy does take work, and if you love yourself, you'll do the work.
Amen.
We just have a tendency to love a lot of things outside of ourselves instead of inside ourselves.
Beautifully said, Doc. Deeper Wellness, in that book, you lay out a structured path to healing. What inspired you to turn your clinical framework into a book? And how does your book help our listeners? We have only about a minute or so left, Doc.
The pandemic, a lot of people wanted more resources because you might feel really good after talking to a therapist like me and just wanted additional resources outside of the session to keep you on track. We all need reminders, affirmations, good pep talks. Take charge of the energy in your space. Keep friends around that are positive. Do healthy habits. Eat well. Be in the environments that lift your energy, and read books and expose yourself to news or things that are limiting negative stimuli. Give yourself a chance to really be in and amongst positive things that lift you, help you be a higher, better version of yourself, and learn to realize that you're in charge of the energy in your space.
Now, I can't let you go without asking you this. Now, with all the divisiveness in our country, and the news every day is full of controversy, whether it's ICE or Greenland or whatever, or Russia or Ukraine, and people are getting overwhelmed with anxiety and burnout. What are the most effective tools that you teach for managing daily stress? The final words are yours, Doc.
Limit your exposure. Remember, all of these problems and many more have always been throughout history happening. We just didn't have easy access like we do today with technology. Learn to be your own best friend. Limit your interaction with technology. Come home, put your phone in a basket, and give yourself designated times to turn on your phone and go back to it. Learn to limit your news. Learn to shut off, your viewing in the elevator, the news, or anything else that is exposing you to negativity. Friends who are talking about it say, this is not something I want to talk about. Learn to stop people who are filling your head with more negativity, and change the way you expose yourself to negativity. What you focus on expands. You focus on negative, that expands. You focus on calmness and peace and reducing anxiety, that will expand too.
Amen. Unfortunately, Doc, we've run out of time.
You focusing.
Unfortunately, we've run out of time. Her book, A Deeper Wellness, is available now on Amazon and other major booksellers. Check out Dr. Vermani's website, drvermani.com or deeperwellness.com. We'll have links on our website. Check it off live. Thanks for coming on the program, Doc. We have to run.
The preceding hour of programming, sponsored by Shake It Off Live, LLC.
For over 30 years, Point of Grace has shared music, faith, and friendship with listeners across the country. Now Denise, Lee, and Shelley are inviting you into their circle. Welcome to Circle of Friends, the podcast.
It's Point of Grace.
Each week they're talking real life, current events, stories of true friendship, wisdom from God's Word, and all their favorite things. If you're looking for a little company, a few laughs, and a lot of Jesus to hold it together, Circle of Friends, the podcast is waiting for you. Subscribe now wherever you listen or watch podcasts, and circle up with Point of Grace.